situation there for Larson where he's got a couple shields, kinetic blades. This is a bit more fun to watch though, right here at the Citadel. nαwαιιαR and pαιλα landing towards the top, out-dropping Dragon and ლიģe. We saw them win this fight off spawn in game 1. Can they do it again here? Ooh.
Already you can kind of see them just taking the majority of the loot. Dragon and ლიģe forced to kind of look for scraps, but the ODM gear off spawn. We've seen how dangerous that can be if you end up in a close exchange. iZ and Chris going against Punisher and Costa at this spot. Punisher and Costa need the miracle win on the day to secure their spot past Surge Week. iZ is taking a lot of damage. Punisher over the top is dealing it. He's going to be the tip of the spear.
Oh, that's tough though. Look at what Punisher's working with. It's just a blue pistol. And I mean, he already hit a couple of nice shots, but he's going to need to hit a lot more. And the thing is, getting this medikit off is great for him. It gets him back up to 100 HP, but they may just get time to carry on a couple seconds in it. Can he stop it? Can he hold on? Both of them, actually no, he did stop it, but it's not going to matter. Chris will pick him up.
Punisher just didn't have the build to defend himself, and from the highest part of the Citadel to the lowest part, one player is already down. pαιλα and nαwαιιαR trying to keep their distance. They don't want to give up any easy shots and continues to build up, and that is going to be the strategy that wins overall. ლიģe is going to get dropped along with Dragon.
Yeah, and I like that. Really nicely done from pαιλα there. Didn't lose any sort of composure at all, even with the situation, right? He's getting ODM'd, but he's still connecting with the shots, and there's a player underneath his ramp. Doesn't get scared, doesn't panic, doesn't whiff. Hits the shot he needs to hit. And that's going to go a long way. 2 games in a row now where they've won, and if you're a ლიģe and Dragon, that gets into your mental, right? I'm not sure if we'll get the chance to see it depending on how he does off spawn, but Dragon right now, where he's playing, like his setup, I got a sneak peek at his camera. He's got like a bunch of people like watching. I don't know where he's playing. He's like playing in public or something.
Real life watch party.
Yeah, and like if you're there and you've got all these people watching you and you've gone down off spawn twice, that's gonna start to affect you mentally, right? You're gonna start to feel that pressure. So very, very good signs for nαwαιiαR and pαιλα.
Especially when it was Dragon who was actually being the aggressor.
Exactly. And the key now that they've won that fight is that you have to play out the game and have another good game, because you're not certain of how many more games you'll get to play out. For pamstu and Thatch, we saw them over at Frenzy, not necessarily doing too hot in this fight in game 1. A chance at a do-over here in game 2. Oh, Wok is just going to make it so tough. That angle is so awkward to fight against when he's up right beneath the wall. They can barely see him. He hits a massive shot, and that's Thatch that goes down.
This is the second time. They kind of traded. They went their separate ways. But as pamstu went down first last time, now it's his job to try to be the hero in a 1v2 situation with Wok, kinetic blades, trying to steal away the high ground, attack by the Iron Tot, especially before third parties begin to kind of set in. You see on the mini-map, somebody's at least looking their direction as Wok and Straw just kind of trap him, give him no options, and they end the fight quickly because now they became the third party. But with the fight ending, they're able to kind of put up the box, defend themselves, and let the team know there's no shots to be taken here.
And these guys have to finish in the top 12 by the end of today's 6 games if they want to advance to Surge Week. So that is a huge fight for them to win. And if Wok can keep hitting shots like the 2 he's just hit, they are well on their way to playing in that Surge Week, because he right now is feeling it. Some big pumps being connected.
Especially taking out players like pamstu and Thatch. We already have a first place through FNCS Majors week 1 and 2. It's Edward and User landing towards the outside, scrapping together as much loot as possible. This is kind of the same rotation we've seen them make last game. They tried to build and climb up the side of the mountain, give themselves elevation, survey how many players around. But the difference is from last game where the zone was pulling towards the south, this time it's pulling towards the north. So they're going to find their struggles rotating over towards Lonely Labs or any of those places to really gather the material that they're looking for.
Well, let's not speak too soon. Zone still very much could pull downwards towards the south, right? It is still very possible. We'll wait and see. I'm sure they'll be having their fingers crossed, right? Hoping they can stay in that ḻameझ area so they don't have to rotate down south. npen and polarized, though, you see them here just playing very sneaky. Like, this is often what you see from teams that land in these sort of areas of the map on the outskirts, trying to make plays like this one, and no, not connecting with the shot. npen, you've got to hit that. It's a massive one. Will he get a do-over, though? Will he get a second try at it? It does seem that way. Polarized has now jumped into the action to help out. But you've got to think, if he could have just hit a nice little one pump there, a big headshot that could have done wonders for them in this fight.
Ended it before it even started. But instead, now third parties poking some shots in, 60 shield being taken off of npen, and what isn't even the people directly in. Polarized getting tagged up as well. Noxy and Stack, you hear it all coming. They're going to ODM, cause some destruction, try to land some shots through the builds. You're not going to find some success, but if you don't succeed, you try again. npen's going to get knocked. Noxy and Stacky just taking advantage of the little bit of damage that third party put in, and before he can even escape, npen just gets taken out from the sky.
Oh man, Polarized there, falls to his doom. His loot is sort of falling out of the sky like it's a piñata. But look at this, man. npen will be having dreams about this one again and again and again. That tree breaking could have been the opportunity, but no, couldn't quite get through that wall into the box. You can see there a bit of frustration, and understandably, to be fair, he's a good sport. He giggles away. I'm sure he knows just how good of an opportunity that almost was for them. But I'm sure they will be back next game. And to be fair, even if they didn't quite show it there, they are one of the better teams in the lobby, a team that we do look at and go, we expect to see you in every single end game popping off.
They already have their golden ticket, so for them, just like we've been talking about, they're just conditioning everybody else that lands near their drop, trying to push them away. Pumps and Trashy, same thing for them, one of the teams that's qualified for every single one of our weekly finals. This season, they are setting the pace for themselves. Each and every single one of these FNCS majors, they just been progressively getting better.
Yeah, and the SBG called it boring fun at the start of the show, and we saw that in that last endgame, right? They were hit by hit, side to side, in each other's boxes, and it pays off, right? They make it deep into games. And even if there are some things I'd like to see them brush up on in terms of just how efficient they are with their materials at times in moving zones, they are currently performing at a level much higher to that of everybody else in the lobby. And that alone is going to do them wonders when it comes grand final time. This is just another opportunity for them to get some practice.
And you can kind of see, just like Levin said, don't count the zone out too quick. We did get a little bit of a southern shift, which kind of opens up that bottom half of the lobby to not be as congested as it typically would, spreading it around for kind of everybody to get their position in zone, which means finding that storm surge might be a little bit more difficult. But for ḻameझ and nαwαιiR, they're able to find it quite nicely. It's going to be in a box fight as they take down a full team.
Yeah, that's nice. They obviously were able to get the combat cash as well after that. And they got it pretty fast. And of course, the metal and the slurps that you get out of those are typically the highest commodity, right? The thing you want the most out of those caches. And of course, the weapon upgrades aren't too bad either, but when you're centered in fabs with mythic shotguns, there's not really much you can do to upgrade on those. That's about as good as it gets. Aiden and Hound here in the zone, not putting in their favor, but focus on that after. Right now, they want to win this fight, and win this fight they just may, because Aiden has hit 2 nice pumps that will get them victory in this one, and only one limb added to the tally, but again, it's something to work with.
Nick's gonna have to put up a monster performance. He also needs a big day and to qualify overall, so a lot of pressure coming into this game for him to try to perform. And he's going to have to be patient by himself to figure out what he's going to do. On the other side, a team that doesn't necessarily need a monster performance. It's about trying to get practice at the drop spot they just recently have taken over. cnecnym and Aegis. Just needed almost essentially not coming last.
The problem with cnecnym and Aegis, I think, is that they probably sent to them to contest them, right? They probably want the off-spawn practice because, yeah, their spot in the finals is somewhat secure, right? If they want to make it to the grand finals, they have to get around top 40 today.
Yeah.
And for a team this good, that basically just means play one game, you think, right? Like, play one game and you're near about good enough to accomplish what you need to accomplish. cnecnym obviously based up there, going to be looking for some surge, but Aegis farms up a bit more. But they are a team that I think very much will play with a bit more freedom today in how they approach the games, just because I'm sure they'll feel rather comfortable. We know how confident cnecnym is. We've interviewed him a couple times, and I will tell you, there are not many people who back themselves as much as he does in competitive Fortnite.
I say that. Ooh, I was about to say I'm impressed by Pollo and Keyboard. I don't think very many people had him high on their expectation list coming into this season, but they're among one of the few teams to kind of make every single weekly final, so they're definitely on my book and notes to kind of watch out for as we kind of progress into the season. As Braids and Visuals, they won off spawn. They're trying to continue it and get even better loot than they have now, which is surprising. They already have multiple legendary variations. They have the ODM, 6 splashes, slurp juice. They're just trying to get those overclock pulse rifles to kind of set the rest of their game up. But they're going to be contested by Fears and Quirky, who are trying to get an FNCS finals appearance here. And I like the confidence already, just kind of boxing up, progressing individuals and Braids, contesting it, not giving up any free loot.
Yeah, but if you're Braids and Visuals, you want to make sure you don't allow these guys to push you off the spawn. You want to make sure you secure this spot. Because that is what the goal is for Fears and Quirky, right? To push these guys off that position where they can claim the loot once it falls.
This is also Fears and Quirky's first FNCS finals appearance this season. They're trying to not only play in this finals, but really take over. And honestly, what a moment if you can kind of take over and push Braids and Visuals off of Rift Island, claim it to yourself, really start a journey here.
So what you're hearing there, right, is that you're hearing them sort of walk in and out of that sort of circle, that zone, right? Where you can activate the flag to be captured. And every time they do it, it does sort of lift it up just that bit more. So eventually the loot will fall and the loot will be there to be had. And once it is, they will definitely start fighting for it. And you can see already Visuals, they've picked it up. And that's actually just going to be the end for Quirky. Those pulse rifles, they just melt builds, they melt players, they melt everything in their sights. And Fizz will be very fortunate to do anything else in this lobby.
A rock and a hard place due to the elevation. He gets tagged up from the distance, just trying to survive. Immediately disengages off of Rift Island overall, saying, hey, I'm better off trying to play this one as a solo for now. As Jan and 1 Week Miracle, we need a top 32 finish here just to get into Surge Week. So as we talk about teams and where they need to finish inside of the bubble, outside of the bubble, some teams have already secured their grand spots, trying to condition the lobby. This is a team that's just trying to keep their hope alive.
Yeah, you could say they need a 1 week miracle. Put them.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna say Jan.
I'm not getting hate comments for that one. That one wasn't my best work, but I'm trying. It's week 3. Let me cook. It's week 3.
We saw the pregame interview come through. The last NA West champion before the regions did combine. They need a top 32 finish today to secure their ticket for the grand finals. And what I like what this team did mentally is even though they only need a top 32 finish, they're telling themselves to inch closer, put that goal a little bit higher to try to condition themselves. They know that finals lobby is going to be much tougher than anything they're facing here.
Yeah, they bad. Set their aims high. If they don't make it to finals, they will never hear the end of it from me. They will never hear the end of it from me. I'm NA West's biggest critic. And if the champions of the last ever NA West season can't make it to the new NA Finals. Oh my goodness. You will not hear the end of it from me.
I've never made a guarantee before, but they're making the finals. That's a Jacob PR guarantee.
That's a Jacob PR.
Everybody gets one. That's
I definitely want to see it. As much as I'm giving them some light jabs there, I do want to see it happen, and I definitely think they're good enough to make it happen, right? There's no reason why they can't get the sort of minimum that they need in around 32nd place, and like you said, they're aiming their sights even higher.
User just gets damaged by Storm Surge as they're 102 below. Him and aggro found a team towards the outskirts. They're just hoping they could probably get the upper hand. That's Onwin on the other side, and man, as soon as they peek through that cover, he immediately gets shut down. Stuck between Storm Surge and Onwin. Him and ẓypher trying to have a big performance on the day. There goes that first elimination. Shield kick instantly dropped back down, not wanting to waste any time. There's one well-played shot from aggro, who has to be aggressive here due to Storm Surge. Inevitably, he has to bump into the box, but Walk and Straw, it's over on the other side. They hear all this action going down. You can see him dropping down low, figuring out if he can steal away some loot, steal away a shot, and turn the fight upside down.
Yeah, they need to. We were talking about how well these guys have to do if they want to start making their way through the next stages of the competition. Right now, those materials are not where you want them to be. 100 or so brick, no metal. These guys are definitely going to be looking for any opportunity they can to try and sneak in some damage and eventually pick up an elim, some sort of refresh. That's exactly what they want to do. ẓypher and On1, they're going to continue to try to deal damage where they can. It's actually M2 and otner they'll set their eyes on now as well as they start to overpeak, and maybe an ODM gameplay going to come out here. They need to get towards zone, and so they'll do that, but when they get there, it's ẓeky waiting for them. No, just gonna move past. Not gonna play on the offensive. Not gonna be too reckless. But instantly looking back now towards the direction they came from, because they know there's gonna be players coming in that way.
For ẓypher and On1, even though they're currently in that bubble, kind of positioned well when it comes to a spot into Surge Week. They need a top 2 finish to skip Surge Week and go directly to Grand Finals. That's a huge mountain to climb, but for anybody that's dared to challenge it, the rewards are definitely worth it. A week off. Rokane and Vert, 317 above, 36 points so far here in this game. 34 of those come from game number 1. His placement points haven't even begun to set in here yet in this game. Top 30, and this is feeling like it's going to go the mile.
Yeah, but that next rotation for them is so pivotal.
Yeah. Max
materials, kinetic blades, they are looking really well set up, but they have to get this next one right. So many players in this lobby still have to make their move there. You see nαwαιιαR and pαιλα'ewα starting to make their move there. And even though they have to invest a bit of metal, it will probably be the best thing for them as they start to continue to rack up on points. We know how big of a day they need. What do we have here? No, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. No, 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 Mstral. What? Say it ain't so.
For aggro, he needs those points. Again, a lot of these teams fighting to get past Surge Week. They don't want to have to risk it all there.
That is so lovely from aggro. The confidence to jump into the box and hit the shots as well. That is a very nervy thing to do. In these kind of lobbies, just jumping into someone's box and trying to take them out is hard. When there's 2 players there to fight, it's a near impossibility at times, but he gets the job done.
The Injustice above nαwαιiαR and pαιλα'ewα. That could have easily been an opportunity, because you can see that they're below the damage threshold, trying to look, but they don't want to give up that high ground. They don't want to just jump into a box. Exactly because what you just explained, you're almost putting it all on the line for one moment, one battle, as we're going to get a farm pool. Double the distance this time around than some of the zones that we have seen last week, and now Storm Surge, they waited too long. It's going to affect them on their rotation.
Yeah, this Farpool might be a blessing in disguise for them though, right? There's going to be so many teams that have to rotate. The whole lobby has to start moving, and so there will be opportunities to get shots. The problem is, these opportunities aren't coming that fast. You have to hit them when they're there, and you've seen how difficult it is to hit shots right now for vyddy. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to take down these guys cnecnym. You're going to have to jump into a box if you want to make it happen. That realization for them, Jacob, it's come way too late. Now the time has come, but with just 10-15 seconds, one tick of damage done until they are out of the game. vyddy and Justice fall at the wayside. Couldn't quite piece it together, do enough damage to stay in the game.
Those are those moments that you remember, and it kind of forces you to shift. It's only the second game so far, so they definitely have more than enough time to really make up for it. As Bugha and threats, both of them have a little bit of redemption arc coming into this season. Continue to explain both of them with their respective partners last season. We're looking at to be the favorites to take it overall, but they both fall short. Bugha quick to make that rotation. You hear him when he coaches a lot of these other players. He knows exactly when to kind of rotate first, knows exactly when to kind of delay himself behind, and now he got himself a spot. Not the ultimate high ground that he was looking for, but definitely above all the madness towards the low ground. Pops that slurp juice. Getting scared there, trying to figure out where Braids was positioned at overall. Taking a lot of damage. Not necessarily in the best spot, along with Agers, who lost Kanata yet again. We need a 48th place on the day, and honestly, 8 points so far. They're performing a little bit slower than I would expect, but they're definitely one of the teams you can never count out.
Problem is, even with how slow they may be performing, at this current pace, they're still on pace to qualify, right? So I'm sure they won't be panicking just yet. And we can't count Agers out yet. We've seen him do some crazy solo clutches in the past. Muz and Degen, though, a second chance at life for them. Last game, we saw them up on height with pulse rifles. They couldn't quite hold on to it well enough. Now, though, they are going to start looking up towards it. They want to be the ones taking height this time round. And it looks like Braids and Visuals have been chopped out. I don't think they even realized it yet, but once they do, it's going to be a harsh shock for Quanti and Peter, but the team who we literally saw win the previous game, they are right now not looking too hot either.
Yeah, if he wants to go back-to-back, Peterbot will need a miracle to perform. He tries to go up and over the zone here. You got to take note to a lot of these teams getting stuck on that ultimate low ground isn't where you want to be, especially with the different elevations that these players are going to have to go through. Even water on the other end of this zone, as Peterbot's going to go up, try to follow behind a lot of these players, recycle a lot of those builds as ḻā and nαwαιiR are just trying to get themselves a spot. Braids and Visuals get knocked back down, but waste no time trying to build up that high ground once more.
Constantly getting chopped out on height, and they're spending so many builds as a result of it. You have to make these opportunities with the pulse rifle count. I'm not too sure why he's not even trying to hit fire. They're now finally opting to use the hit fire. It was ADSing a bit too much for a moment. But with just a couple wood builds left, if somebody looks up at height, there will be a chance to chop it, but the timing, that window is slowly ticking down as the zone gets smaller and smaller. Vert and Rokane, they're not worried about height. They're worried about just staying clear on this mid-ground layer. Nobody in sight, having to use their mats very wisely. They're starting to run very, very low.
Zone's going to pull back, though, so a lot of these players are going to be able to recycle some of these builds, including Visuals, up until a certain point, because he wants to hold on to that high ground. And this is where it's more important than ever before for him to try to put down pressure from above. Don't let anybody look up. Don't let anybody know you're a solo, because in the blink of an eye, they're going to challenge it. One of those teams is going to be Muz and Degen. Muz is going to be the first player up, and instantly he makes the right decision on the side of Visuals to just concede. Don't fight for it. You still have more points to pick up, just like Hedgie, as he goes in, takes down both Miro and Cooper to try to stay alive. He's going to get all that loot for himself. He's not really going to be able to take use of it just yet.
Backside of the zone edge, putting in that work. 6 limbs on this game. And if he's not careful, he'll run right into Vert, but with the 4 Medgies in right now, he might just take him out as well.
Almost bone dry when it comes to materials, but at least he gets himself into the top 10. Luckily, Zone did pull back. is able to recycle as much as possible. yle on ņawαιiR find one slipping. Unlike last game, they're hip to hip. They're doing it this time as a solo, and this could be huge and pivotal for their day.
But they need to start making more space, claiming more space on low ground if they want to be able to hold it. ņawαιiR doing a good job. They have to drop down, start building, start claiming exactly what they will do now, and that's going to set them up once again really nicely going into these final zones. Threats trying to heal off now. Doesn't have Boogle with him, and the last of this med miss is going to be all he has to play out this game. Visuals down to 0 mats as well, and so it's going to be another game where he has to hit a big pump, and he's not even going to get a chance to.
2 for 2. The players with the overclocked pulse rifles go down. Don't really get an opportunity to utilize it, as Threat's trying to fight into the backside of zone. And this is where it's going to come down to the wire. Vert's just looking for where these players are attempting to heal off at, and yle go ahead and ends the run, needing a big dayz. This is only game number 2. This is a way to start. dj's trying to stop the heal off, but he gets cut short. Now it's up to muz. The first one's going to be cleaned up. Down to a 1v1. He's on the hunt for ņawαιiR. Doesn't want to let this go down, but he gets it stolen away. ņawαιiR secures the victory royale when they need it most.
We've talked about how big of a day they need to have. Every game has to count. We see them fight off spawn at the Citadel, and when they win that battle, they have to try and win the game, and that's what they do here in game 2. Very, very clinical from this duo.
The pressure to keep their hopes alive and a chance to make it to that FNCS Major 2 Grand Finals. And they are starting off just like any team would on a day like today, and even bringing it from solos in game number 1 to winning it as a duo here in game number 2.
And a beautiful execution of just the typical roles we see in competitive Fortnite. And yle playing as that fragger in the back of the top, ņawαιiR claiming and taking space in the front, just waiting for yle to deliver the mats for him to build, and then towards the end, the crucial shots just to secure the game as a whole after they made it so deep. A really, really nice game. Honestly, it doesn't get much cleaner than that. Of course, it doesn't go down to a heal off, and so they're fortunate they didn't have the heals necessary to do that. But a big, big game.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how solid their game plan is overall. It wasn't anything flashy at all, but they don't need to be flashy. They just need to be concrete in their game plan on the day, with a high placement in game number 1 and a victory here in game number 2. Do they have enough to take first place? Well, we're going to throw it on over to Zeke to find out.
As our casters just point out, ņawαιiR and yle need a very big day today if they hope to go ahead, skip Surgery Week, go right into Grand Finals. They're very quickly ramping up. vyvdy, this is where I want to see this duo, right? In this position, getting themselves victory royale, and also pairing that up with 8 eliminations.
I mean, it's incredible, right? The conversation of the day was going to be like, listen, are they going to make it all spawn? Can they really even gather up some points today? First 2 games are going great, and there's eventually going to be a point throughout the day where they actually have enough points, and it won't even matter if they go down all spawn. So already, let's set the storyline for what's going to be happening at the Citadel in Grand Finals if ņawαιiR and yle pick up a couple more points.
Yeah, now they're almost conditioning the Citadel for the Grand Finals. I mean, talk about clutch. Needing to come out strong. They're showing it all today. Like you mentioned, off spawn, and then just having this such fundamental synergy towards the end of the game, hitting those shots, like no slouch of a game, popping off. It's like a round 1 in the playoffs, game 7, they're clutching it up.
You'll love to see it. Now, this means ņawαιiR and yle will jump up 7 placements to take over that number 1 spot. Now breaking triple digits as well, but Peterbot, Quanti, they are looking to hang as well, and even seeing someone like Bugha and Threats right now starting to contest for that top 5. Gentlemen, I think this is a pretty good look to kind of think about. We have 4 more games in the day. I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, the team that's kind of been consistent so far has got to be dgen and muz. Of course, game number 1, we saw them on the higher ground. Unfortunately, they ended up losing. Game number 2 right there, they were still looking for those opportunities, still got 2nd place in the end of it, still ended up on the higher ground. I will say though, in the closing moments of this game, I actually wish that both of them dropped down at the same time instead of just sending dgen, because I don't think muz had more than like a couple of chug splashes for that heal off anyway. I would have loved to see them go for that 2v2 rather than the heal off.
It's a great point. Overthinking it, right? You thinking that you have to play for the heal off because that's what's been going on all season, but you're right. If they do both drop down there, they probably win that 2v1. Like, I think they have it. Nonetheless, hey, still a solid game. but it's those little things that you want to try and fix and change for when you are playing in finals.
You know, this is a team that's pretty much guaranteed for grand finals anyhow. So if they go back and like VOD review things like that, which is why these games are so important for practice, that'll be in the back of their minds when it comes to grand finals. Like, oh, we could play this a little bit differently.
Yeah, and I think a lot of duos kind of take that step back, right? There has to be some kind of calm in that storm, actually, you know, physically and metaphorically. But for these duos, they have to be able to identify those things and kind of overcome those little mistakes, so to speak. Another duo that I'm kind of enjoying right now, ғrom and verd, now jumping up into that 6th place, right? Jumping up the 6 placements as well. ғrom and verd, long-time veterans in the competitive scene. So I want to see them kind of push to make that grand finals performance.
Yeah, and I think in this lobby, it's really important for them to prove to themselves that they can make that jump. Because right now, like you said, they're veterans. They've done it. I believe verd won solo FNCS Invitational, so like he's won an FNCS. He knows he can do it. Now it's time for them to prove that they can do it together.
Absolutely. Now, of course, we have to talk about everyone's favorite topic, Storm Surge. Now, SVG, you're crazy, bro. We're seeing a kind of a trend, right? And we have been seeing a trend pretty much at the start of the chapter. Duos like to go ahead and build up these sky bases, right? And that actually gives them a perfect opportunity not only hoard materials, but also send shots out to the duos, doesn't it, Viv?
So the important thing here is usually positioning, and we're going to be taking a look at Zone 3 here, and specifically it's going to be Bucky and Ocus positioning themselves pretty much directly in the center of Zone 3. And the reason why positioning yourself in the center is so important is because, well, you pretty much can see every single place around you, every single directional rotation coming in towards the center of the zone leads to easy tags.
And we see they have plenty of loot just sitting there, so it really doesn't matter how much damage they take. They're just going to trade it back, and they're both so good at this, just getting that Storm Surge damage, understanding that they can take it because they have those heals, and now just throw down a shield keg, you can trade some damage.
Yeah, exactly, right? If you got the constant heals, the constant shields coming in, then might as well just take some damage, deal some out. Pretty much just a win-win.
Okay, all right, so now we are kind of almost to that halfway point, right? We just wrapped up game 2. We have 4 more on the day. What are we kind of hoping to see going into game number 3? Is there any change-ups we feel like any duos need to make right now?
Ooh. I'm looking for nαwαιιαR and ḻyģe to close it out here in this next game. I don't want them to, like, toy with us and lose off spawn. Like, lock it in, get one more, and have a solid top 5. That way they don't have to worry, and they're feeling comfortable.
The thing that I've noticed in both of these games, actually, is that whatever team has claimed the Rift Island, has gotten that capture point, has gotten the overclocked pulse rifles, has been the team initially on the higher ground. So I think that's going to be a trend throughout the day. Might be worth going the extra mile to fight for those.
I know, man. They can be extremely difficult to handle right on the receiving end.
Yeah.
You're sending overclock shots my way. I ain't holding no walls against that spray. But, of course, as we get ready to jump back into the game, who better to keep us through the game? Who's going to be those eyes in the sky? It's Jacob PR, 11-2K. Gentlemen, over to you.
Already with 2 games down, we're seeing the things begin to unfold of nαwαιiαR and ḻyģe, the story. You challenge them, you force them to need a big day, and guess what? They're delivering.
They have my utmost respect. I challenged them. I said, look, I want to see who the real from the fake were. And they are showing me they are currently the realest in the lobby. First place right now is a beautiful spot to sit in, especially when you know the stakes are so high for your season.
But you got to be careful. There's still 4 games left, and they have to be able to hold on to that consistency through and through, because we've seen teams lead very, very early on in the leaderboards and just unable to really hold on to that position throughout the course of the games. But with this being game number 3, the last one before the half, this is really true and showing about how teams are going to have to perform here. Some needing that performance to qualify directly to the FNCS Grand Finals. Others still needing to hold on just to make it to Surge Week.
And Pen and Polarized landing here at Kinjitsu Crossing. You know how strong this POI has been this season. And obviously last game we saw their game end a bit earlier than they would have liked, and so hopefully a chance of redemption for them. For mStraw, it's not the best start to the game at all, and you have Duke taking shots at you, picks up that weapon, that red eye, off spawn, and just goes really.
These are things that you honestly don't typically expect. You're so worried about Pamsu and Fats that you've been going toe-to-toe throughout the day. You kind of forget a little bit low of a drop and what it's going to do with all the other teams surrounding. So you continue to watch the Citadel, this off-spawn engage between ḻyğe and nαwαιiR, illež and Dragon. And you can already see illež and Dragon getting pushed off yet again. They're trying to concede. They lost this battle 2 back-to-back games against nαwαιiR and ḻyğe, and they're trying to give themselves a chance, something to work with. But you can see ḻyğe on the hunt, beginning to drop down along with nαwαιiR. And just like last game, ODM gear really going to be a role here in this fight between the two, and it's ḻyğe and nαwαιiR that have that high ground over their opponents, and they're going to be the aggressors here this time around. And just like last game, they're going to take down Dragon first.
Oh yeah, they're feeling it. They're feeling good. We've seen them clean up this fight a couple times, and illež and Dragon are just no match for them at all. Really impressive. nαwαιiR and ḻyğe as comprehensive as it gets in these first 3 games of Spawn.
3 games in a row, you see how things start for them. And on the other side, out for revenge after going down early in that last game. Punisher and Costa make quick work of their opponents, get those first 2 eliminations, and give themselves a chance to play here in game number 3. Trying to position themselves to where they can have control over their destiny in the last half of the day. You can see Justice and Veer with only 2 points so far. They need a top 45 finish today to secure their spot in the grand finals. A lot of these teams, they just don't want to mess with Surge Week.
I think the big thing, if you are Justice, that could be a problem, is that when you hear, we just got to get top 45, you think to yourself, oh yeah, easy. Yeah, top 45, there's only 50 teams in the lobby, like we just got to spawn in and we're good. But that kind of complacency, if you allow that to set in, it can really bite you in the backside when it comes game 6. So as much as it might seem like an easy task for them, they have to get it done. And the earlier they do it, the better.
Edgy. Getting ahead of himself. Probably doing some damage to Madden and Widow. Thinking he can finish it off by himself. illež Duke alone. Only for a few seconds before Pamsu and Fat spot him out as a solo, take him down, all within a matter of seconds. And you can see they're just towering over their opponents, Madden and Widow. And they want nothing of it. They got their elimination, they got their damage when it comes to Storm Surge. They're like, hey, let's just disengage, let's try to play the rest of this one out. But with Zone pulling in their direction, Fast gets tagged up with that ODM and lost a ton of HP due to fall damage. Even though he only at 46 HP overall, you can see that not phasing him, not scared, not backing down, landing a huge shot onto Widow. Madden got taken down to Costa, which gives him a big siphon and all those heals to work with as Punisher and Costa. They're just taking what they can get and making their rotation to continue on with the rest of their game.
Trashy and Pumper having one of those days where, similar to previous performances, you know, they're going to be quiet. They're not going to be the flashiest by any means, but when you see them high up in the standings,
They finished off one of those teams, and because they didn't get that original battle against Walk and his teammate, they're still on the hunt for Surge elsewhere. They started this one against Punisher and Costa, and now they're ready to finish it as Fast lands a huge shot, taking a tag, only 42 damage, but that second one, that's going to be the blow that takes him down. 7 HP, his shot for shot's going to land on the Patch, forcing a moment here of stability, forcing Punisher back even more as Pamsu's there to kind of lead the charge, taking down Costa.
ooh, okay.
But Punisher's not going down without a fight. 2 big shots, making Pamsu and Fat second-guess this decision if they're going to try to finish this one off.
This is so rough, though, because another team's come in, and that just makes it so much harder for Punisher. I thought for a moment,